Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the WABAN podcast. I am Nim, and I'm here joined by an actual talking dog, the goodest boy.
That's me. Hello.
Yes, an actual talking dog, not clickbait. This is not a joke.
Yep. Woof woof.
Yeah, this is where we're going to get most of our people listening, because they'll be like, we need to hear the only talking dog in the world.
Honestly, yeah, I'm a wonder.
It is amazing. Like I'm looking at this dog right now. Like the mouth is moving. You'd expect to hear only barks coming out, but there's like actual words, like English human words. It's crazy.
Yeah, I have to say it was very difficult getting this down. It's a real skill.
Yeah, yes, especially for a dog, like us humans, we pick it up pretty naturally. Just, mama, dad, you slowly pick it up from when you're young. But as a dog, I'm sure it's very difficult. It's just not natural to you. So,
well, yeah, I mean, how do you make P sounds with the dog lips,
Yeah, I'm sure that's a very complicated one to do, to the point where, like, after saying a full sentence, you're probably a little tired, honestly.
Oh, yeah, it takes a while to recharge.
Right. So we're just the whole podcast is just going to be us going along with this whole dog thing. That's the whole podcast is we have a talking dog.
Yeah. What else would it be about?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's any other interesting things that we could talk about or anything like that going on in the world. This is the most important thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really. I mean, who else can say that they have talked to a talking dog?
Well, I know all of them, I have to say.
That's true. You do, because you're the only talking dog in the world.
I made sure of it.
So, what did you do to the other dogs? That's the real question.
Well, I mean, can a dog be charged with murder? That will affect my answer.
Yeah, I think dogs are more likely to get the death penalty than humans are. Like humans, right. Humans aren't as protective over animals as they are of humans.
Well, then I have no comment.
All right, so we have some actual topics that I kind of picked out for what we could talk about. Since this is the first episode, we're just going to kind of go with whatever random thing we can, pick up and just kind of roll with it. So I don't know. Do you know of any interesting things going on in today's world? In today's, recently?
Well, I mean, there are a few, but nothing as important as a talking dog, surely.
I mean, yeah, that is a good point. So there are a few things I heard about recently, and I was looking them up to check and make sure, just random things that happen. So one thing, I guess, did you see the recent? What was it on National Women's Day? The tweet from Burger King. Have you heard of that?
No, what is that?
Okay, see, let me text this to you actually, because it's very interesting. So National Women's Day. A lot of people are probably tweeting about women empowerment things, whatever things like that. So this is what Burger King decides to tweet. I just sent it to you.
Okay, let's have a look.
So just read it out loud, for everyone to see.
Oh, I have to read this out loud. Okay.
Yes.
So the first part of the tweet is, women belong in the kitchen.
Yes.
And then it continues on to say, if they want to, of course, yet only 20% of chefs are women. We're on a mission to create the gender ratio in the restaurant industry, to change the gender ratio in the restaurant industry by empowering female employees with the opportunity to pursue a culinary career. We are proud to be launching a new scholarship program which will help female Burger King employees pursue their culinary dreams.
So, I feel like you can pretty easily see the first, like, the most obvious issue with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's weird because, like, they have good intentions. Like, they're like, oh, we're promoting this, like, women getting in culinary careers.
Yeah.
Yeah. But their first tweet, and the thing is, the other tweets underneath it are just like replies to that. So, like, if I'm just scrolling through Twitter, all I'm going to see at first is just a tweet that says, women belong in the kitchen.
Well, it's like that meme, you know. They had us in the first half, not gonna lie. You ever see that one?
I don't know. No.
Plebeian. But, I mean, on one hand, it does the job. Like, that first tweet is very eye-catching, especially on Women's Day. And then you click on it and you read through it the entirely, and it's like, oh, okay, that's better.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
there is still a gut reaction of like, what are they doing? Why would they say this?
yeah, it's like, who hacked the Burger King account is the first, like, response you get. And
Yeah.
then yeah, but I mean, it's like it's I don't know. It's weird cuz, like, the thing is, I always was thinking about it and I was like, okay, I understand you're going for this, like, shock value thing, and, like, people are going to
Mm-hmm.
you're getting people to pay attention to it because it's a shocking thing. Like, this blew up, a lot of people are talking about it. Okay, so more people are going to know about your getting women to pursue culinary degrees campaign thing you're doing because of the shocking value nature of this tweet. So I understand it. Like, it's like the, like, all press is good press. Like, it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive as long as people are paying
Right.
attention to it. But, like, you got to imagine there are some people out there who will, like like go against Burger King and maybe even, like, be like, yeah, I'm just not going to go to Burger King. Like, turned off from the brand overall just from seeing the tweet in general.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a weird situation.
Yeah. It might not have been the best move. Like, it might work for what they were trying to go for, but it's also, if anyone doesn't click and read the replies, then
Mm-hmm.
it's completely different.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird world we live in where, like, brands are essentially creating memes.
Yeah, they get
Like,
personified.
right, because this is like something you would see from, like, some sort of, like, meme page, like, oh, like, I don't know. I can't even think of a good example, but, like, it's like, it sounds like something that's horrible, but then it's like, oh, but here's the rest of it. Like, I don't know. Just,
Mm.
I can't think of an example because I'm an idiot. Um, but it's just one of those weird things. But I guess the whole, like, brands kind of trying to be all, like, memey and funny like that has been a
Right.
thing for a decent amount of years now. Because, like, I remember back in the day, like, I don't remember what year it was, when, like, Wendy's started like, roasting other brands
Oh, I
on
remember
Twitter,
that. That was
you know.
great. And now
And
there's a
then
ton of smug
right,
Wendy's pictures.
right, and then all of the other brands decided to copy Wendy's. So it's kind of been this thing where it's kind of been like a general thing since then. But for the
Mm-hmm.
most part, I'd say most of it's been, like, pretty, like, easy to, get, like, pretty harmless.
Right, right.
But
I did just send they had us in the first half, not gonna lie, meme, just for
yeah, I don't.
verification.
So it's a football player who says they had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I don't. I mean,
pretty
I don't
simple meme.
understand. Yeah, I don't
Well,
understand
it's
the context
It's
to the
used
meme.
where, like, at first something sounds really bad, and then it changes, and it's, like, completely fine.
Gotcha. So, women belong in the kitchen
Mm-hmm.
of high-end restaurants as culinary professionals. Whoa.
Yeah.
They had us in the first half. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, there we go. I got a little meme lesson here.
You did.
Me. Yep.
Bow to your sensei.
So I was just gonna say, like, I'll probably get occasional meme lessons on here because I feel like you are more involved with meme culture than I am.
A good bit, yeah.
Yeah. I know, which is a weird thing for a dog to be into, but I mean,
I have a whole setup to mimic opposable thumbs. Cost a fortune.
That's pretty cool. I mean, yeah, it probably that's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So you must be not only the only talking dog in the world, you also must be like dog the dog in the world with the highest IQ, like the most intelligent dog in the world.
You could argue that. I mean,
Right. Because
of course, it's a hard thing to measure, of course, but
right, but like you can kind of be like, oh, the other dogs are still just walking around sniffing each other's butts while you're here talking on a podcast,
Well, I mean, I don't want to be rude to my fellow canines, though, right?
Okay, right. That makes sense. They're making a Space Jam 2, a sequel to Space Jam, right?
That explains a few memes. Yeah.
Yes. So, which is really weird. Like, Space Jam is such a 90s movie, it's not even funny. Like, trying to do a sequel in the 2020s, it's just weird. But you know what? Whatever. I think it's going to, instead of Michael Jordan, it's going to have LeBron James, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I could be wrong. But what were you going to say?
Well, I mean, it's, how do I put it? How do you make a sequel to like something like that as for story-wise?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably not really much of a. It's probably literally just like we're basically repeating the same basic plot, but with LeBron James and, in modern day, in the 2020 version instead of a 90s version, I don't know. I mean, the original one, I'm pretty sure was just made to like advertise the NBA anyways. I don't know. Or like advertise for like, I don't know, stuff like that. I don't know. It's one of those weird ones.
Yeah. I always remember people joking with, great, I forgot the name of the movie. What's the name?
What's the name of the movie? Yeah, that movie. Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Was it?
How could I miss that?
Was it Space Jam?
Yeah, Space. Oh, I thought you were referring to a different movie.
No.
We're talking about. We're still talking about. Yeah, Space Jam.
While we're on that subject, why space? I don't get why it's space. But
because aliens come to Earth and challenge, and they're like, we're gonna. What was it? They were gonna like. They challenged the Looney Tune characters to a basketball game.
Of course.
Oh no!
How could I forget?
Yeah. And then, actually, what it was is these little tiny aliens come down and they're like, we want to capture the Looney Tune characters and keep them as slaves. And they were like, we don't want you to do that. And they're like, you know what? How about this? We'll have a challenge. And they're like, okay, what game they asked the Looney Tune characters, like, what game do you want to play as a challenge? And they looked at them. The aliens were like these little tiny guys. And they were like, we could take them in basketball. We'll challenge you to basketball. And then the aliens were like, hell yeah. And then the aliens turned into these giant aliens, and they were like, oh wait, they're actually really huge. Crap, they probably could beat us.
Yeah, the more you say, the more I remember.
Right, and then they're like, oh wait, we need help from star basketball player Michael Jordan because he's so good at basketball.
Right.
I mean, that's the movie with like random, Looney Tunes hijinks thrown in.
You see, I didn't remember any of that. The one thing that I remembered about Space Jam was that people constantly joke that it's like, I don't know, it's a movie that probably created a ton of furries.
Oh yeah, with the
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting theory. That's probably somewhat accurate. I from what I've heard, anyways. I like to not think about that though. Like I'm
Yeah, it's definitely something you'd rather avoid thinking about.
just like okay, let's move on. But yeah. So, anyways, the reason I was bringing up Space Jam 2
Mm-hmm.
is because there's this controversy going on with basically what happened is that do you know the Looney Tunes character Pepe Le Pew?
I don't think I do.
Okay, that's okay. He's not one of the like really popular Looney Tunes characters, but
Okay.
basically, he's a French skunk. So like he has a French accent and everything. Skunk.
Okay, now I remember him. Yeah.
Who's right? He's his thing is in his like cartoons. He's always constantly like trying to flirt with this one like cat,
Right.
or who he thinks is a skunk. I don't know. There's like a whole thing like it's
I vaguely
anyways.
remember this.
And the thing is, he's like always like trying to come on to her as she's like trying to get out of there because she's like, what the hell? I don't like this guy. So there's this controversy because there's like one scene with him in it for the new Space Jam 2 that they cut. They cut the scene. Now, why they cut it, I don't know if they fully said why, but there are implications that the reason why I mean I don't know all the details. It could be just that they cut it because they needed to cut scenes for time or whatever, and that was just one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why that a lot of people are saying is that the character normalizes rape culture.
Right.
So that's like a whole thing. But apparently, oh, that was how you're going to say something.
I was just going to say that would definitely be a problem. Yeah.
So apparently, the scene in question involves him, doing his Pepe Le Pew thing, trying to pursue a woman who's clearly not interested, but keep being, constantly doing it anyways. And it ends with her like punching him in the face or something, like being like, yeah, get out of here. So there's also this other side where they're like, hey, this is actually a good scene because it can teach people like, yeah, if somebody's acting like this, like punch him in the face. Like, you know what I mean?
Self-defense is okay.
And I was kind of like thinking that too, because thinking back on those old Looney Tunes cartoons that I remember, at least as far as I remember, I always remember it seemed to be like you were supposed to think what he was doing was bad. Like you're supposed to watch it and be like, and hate that guy and be like, what's wrong with him? Like you weren't supposed to be like side with Pepe Le Pew. I don't think that was ever the intention, at least from what I remember. Like he was always kind of supposed to come off as kind of creepy and weird.
Right. And even when he wasn't doing his bit, he was never like a very normal person, normal character. It was always just very weird and awkward.
Yeah. Like so like to me, it's like, okay, it's not like you're right. Like the scene isn't saying it's okay to be like this. It's like it's kind of presented in a way where it's viewed as a bad thing. So I don't know. So like that's where the controversy is coming.
It's a thing that you definitely have to be careful of. But if they do it right, then I don't see a problem.
Yeah, I mean, because there's definitely this like general kind of like group like of where people kind of are like you can't show anything that's like any negative behavior in movies at all, or like in like kids
Right.
movies or movies in general. Like get rid of it all. Like anything that could be like, but it's like realistically, you can show bad behavior depending on how it's presented. You know,
You just
like
need to present it as bad behavior.
right, like oh no, this movie has a character who I don't know, I can't think of it. Like you know, like I can't think of something. That'd be like watching like Star Wars and seeing the scene where Emperor Palpatine like you know uses lightning on people and being like he's torturing people, that's bad, it's going to teach kids to torture people. And it's like well he's clearly the bad guy,
It's
you
like,
know,
yeah,
he's the most evil person ever, like it's pretty obvious that that's not supposed to be seen as a good thing, you know.
yeah,
Like um yeah, it's like I don't know, it really depends on like how you view it. Like I don't know, I think people kind of have this idea that like kids will see negative behavior no matter how it's presented and automatically be like that's okay, but I don't think kids are that stupid, you know,
yeah. Some
like
people don't give him credit.
yeah, people like people kind of think kids are stupider than they are, you know, like I'm not saying kids are like you know as smart as intelligent as like an adult necessarily, you know. Kids are still a little, you know, impressionable and stuff. I get that. But like at the same time, you know, like it's pretty easy to figure out that
Yeah. If anything, I think it would be more dangerous not to show them this stuff so that you can teach them early that,
yeah.
this is bad instead
Yeah.
of them discovering it later on their own
Hmm.
and not knowing if it's bad.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes down to like other debates people have like there are those like types of people who like just completely shelter their kids in general, where it's like okay, so drugs are bad, for instance. Okay, well, I'm
Hmm.
going to try to raise my kids where they're not even allowed to like ever hear about what drugs are. They don't know that what it is at all. They don't hear about it at all. They never know it even exists. And
And
like, but
then
then
someone in high school, hey, you want to try weed, and
they
it's like,
don't know
what's that?
they don't know the negative consequences of it, so they're more likely to do it. Because it's like
Yeah,
you can't shelter your kids from everything that's bad. It's impossible, right?
yeah,
So instead, tell them about those things, but explain to them that it's bad and why it's bad. You know,
or give them the information that they need to decide
decide
whether
for
or not to do.
themselves.
Yeah, decide for
Right. Like
themselves.
that's the thing. Because if you're educated on the effects of marijuana and you know what you're getting into, at that point, if you decide to do it, that's your problem. You know what I mean? Like you knew the
Yeah,
consequences. You know, as long as you're like you know, a consenting adult, like at that adult age where you're like liable for your own decisions, you know, your own
yeah.
bad decisions and stuff.
Wait till you're of legal age, and then you can ruin your life as much as you want.
Yeah, exactly. Like as long as you're educated on it, it is your fault. Because if you like for instance, if you got addicted to heroin, but you never knew what it was or what the negative effects of addictive drugs were, and you ended up getting addicted to it without knowing anything, then you can kind of be like, okay, you were probably
Yeah,
manipulated by somebody else who was trying to sell it to you in order to get but like if you're well educated on it, then you have no excuse because it's like, well, you know you knew
and
at
it's
that
also
point.
like if they know the risks and know, or at least, well, whatever, if they know the risks and they still decide to do it when they are capable of making that decision, well then one, they only have themselves to blame, like you said, but also it's like they made that decision on their own. And I guess I'm trying to say that there's value in the decision itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's definitely interesting to look into these kind of things and see, like,
Oh yeah.
How things go. But yeah, see, we had that whole conversation stemmed from Space Jam, so that's cool.
Space Jam.
Oh my
What a
gosh,
weird movie.
it is pretty weird. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So, what other topics do we got going on here?
Well, that's your
Yeah, I
field
know.
house.
So there's. So have you do you keep up to date with, I mean, I don't know if you keep up to date with a lot of, like, new, like, TV shows and stuff like that?
Not especially, but I hear
Okay.
of them here and there.
So currently, I don't know if you've noticed, but currently Disney Plus is going crazy with new TV shows, okay?
Oh,
So obviously the first Disney Plus original TV show ever was The Mandalorian, I'm pretty sure.
right,
Um,
right.
I don't know how much of a Star Wars person you are, but
I mean, I like it. I've been thinking of watching The Mandalorian, but
there's 2 seasons now. It's pretty good. I like it. It's fun. Um, so they just finished in December the second season,
oh yeah,
and then they suddenly, like, announced, like, bunch of different new Star Wars shows that were going to come. And there's also a bunch of Marvel shows that are coming. So, like, WandaVision, I think, just ended the first season. And then
right. I
literally,
heard of
like,
that.
next week, the next Marvel show is starting, which is like, what is it? Like, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Um, and
Right.
pretty soon there's going to be another Star Wars one. It's an animated one, The Bad Batch, which is like a spinoff of Clone Wars. I think it might be in the summer. I don't know. It's sometime this year. There's that. There's also another Marvel one. There's the Loki show. They have a trailer out now for. So, like, it's it's going pretty crazy, which is weird because, like the year 2020, like, nothing really came out. Like, a few things occasionally did, but
Yeah.
everything was slowed down for obvious reasons. And then now it's like 2021. They're just like, they spent all this. It's as if they spent all this time in development of everything. So now they're just exploding everything out. Like,
I mean, if they're good shows, they're good shows.
yeah. I mean, I've heard good things about WandaVision, so that's cool. I haven't seen it yet. I'm, like, pretty lazy with watching things.
Same with me.
Which isn't good when you're like a movie slash TV show reviewing type YouTube channel.
Yeah, you should really get on that.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, I've sort of changed the focus of my channel less of, like, hey, let me talk about this new movie that came out. Let me talk about this new movie that came out. What are my thoughts on this new show that came out? I've shifted my focus to specifically only, like, making videos that I want to make, that I find really interesting, that I think are going to be, like, you know,
Mm.
interesting, that I actually have something interesting to talk about. Cause, like, I don't want to do the whole, like, this new movie came out, I'm going to review it and talk about it, even though I have nothing interesting to say about it. Yeah. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, it's definitely better to just figure out what to do with a movie first and then release it, than just try to release it as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, I'm trying to go with quality over quantity. I almost said quantity over quality. No. There was a time where I did quantity over quality, and let me tell you, it didn't really work out. I gained like nothing out of that. Because like the thing is, even if you get views out of that, you're less likely to get people to stick around because your videos just aren't as good. So I'm trying to, improve my content. One new thing I'm doing though, currently working on as far as videos go, is a 3-part video series covering and talking about, getting in depth with talking about the character arc of Zuko from Avatar.
You mentioned this.
Yeah. So I'm a recent Avatar, like new Avatar fan. Like I just watched it for the first time this past fall, and I just rewatched it, within the past month. I think
I
whenever
really
it was.
need to rewatch it.
Oh, yes, you do.
Watched it in years.
See, there's some good things we could talk about as you're rewatching it. We could be like, oh, so what are the most recent episodes you watched? Let's talk about it.
That's a great idea.
There we go. We'll turn this into the Avatar podcast. This is the official Avatar podcast, everyone.
The official one? Wow.
The official Avatar podcast.
How do we get the rights to that?
Yeah, we can, definitely. We can invite the voice actors from the show on. Dante Bosco. What are the other names of the voice actors?
Oh, I don't know any of them, sorry.
Dante Bosco voices Zuko. I can't remember. There's the one I knew the name of the one who voiced Toph, but I can't remember her name. Darn. Okay, but anyways, we'll definitely get them on. Have a great old time talking. Well, because they could talk about their own experiences with the show. Like what was it like?
That'd be interesting.
Also, for a podcast that's just starting out with nothing, very unlikely. But
I think it's possible. It's definitely possible. I mean, you got a talking dog on. How could you not?
I mean, that's true. I mean, it's hard to resist a podcast that has a talking dog. That's the only talking dog in the world on it. So, yeah, I can understand. We could get really anyone we want on here. So if that's a good question. If we could have anyone on as a guest, like no matter how popular, rich, famous, whatever, who would you want to have as a guest? Who would be an interesting guest to have on a podcast?
Interesting.
That's an interesting question that I just thought of. See, coming up with the great questions here.
Well, you're more the movie guy, so why don't you go first?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of really good ones,
Well, of course there is.
I'm trying to think of interesting people who would be have interesting stories or interesting things to say, like the type of person who just has a million interesting stories about their life,
right.
Those types of people who are you're like, how the hell did you experience all of this in one lifetime? Somebody like Christopher Lee, except he's dead. So he had a very interesting life, a lot of crazy stories. But he died in, I don't know, 2010s somewhere.
No.
I don't know. Somewhere in there. It's poor guy. I mean, he was really old, so it makes sense. I don't know. That is actually a tough question. It's I feel like it'd be cool to have somebody on who's who works in a really weird industry. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And just get interesting stories, something that's uncommon. So what's it like to be I my brain isn't really working, so I can't really think of examples of things.
Your brain doesn't work very often, does it?
No, it doesn't. I have a bad memory. I'll be I'll forget things like all the time. It's kind of a problem.
Well, I think if I had to choose someone, you probably don't know this person, but as a big fan of D&D, I'd get on Matthew Mercer, the
Mm,
dungeon master for Critical Role, which I
mm,
watch very frequently.
that would be cool.
Yeah,
Mm, hmm.
they have like a whole company around that one show now that produces a ton of other shows. And they're all voice actors, so they all have voice acting stories.
Oh, that would actually be really cool. I think
Yeah,
the world of voice acting is actually pretty cool.
I've I've been interested in it for a while, but it's one of those things that how could I possibly get into this? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean, I don't know. Um, Speaking of voice acting, I would have Mark Hamill on. That'd be great.
Mark Hamill.
So if you don't know, he's first off, he's great voice actor. I mean, he's decently old now. He's like probably in his like kind of 60s, 70s, maybe. I don't know.
Uh,
But he is the guy who played Luke Skywalker in the original Star Wars.
oh,
But he's also nowadays, he's a very, big voice actor.
right.
He was his most famous voice acting role is as the Joker in the 90s Batman animated series.
Ooh.
I don't know if you ever watched that show.
I believe I did as a kid.
It's a great show. It's just amazing. So that's like the probably one of the most iconic voices for the Joker ever.
Right.
Like if I ever, I mean, I never read comics, but if I did and I was reading a Batman comic and I was reading Joker's words, that's like the voice that would be playing in my head because like it's
Okay.
just like that's like the voice of the Joker to me. Um, he was in Avatar actually. Speaking of Avatar, he voiced the Fire Lord Ozai.
Oh,
So he's good at doing villains for sure. Um, there's other things he's done that I've heard him in. I just can't think of them, but like those are the two big ones that I can like think of right off the top of my head. So I mean, he's also a really cool guy. Like I've watched interviews with him. He's like
mhm.
he'd be a fun guy to talk to. Like do you know like in the original Star Wars movie? Again, I don't know how into Star Wars you are, but you've seen the original Star Wars movie, I'm sure, right?
At some point, it's been a while though.
Okay. So there's a line in that movie where like Luke is kind of being a little whiny, right? Like his uncle's like it's like before he like is goes on the adventure. He's just working on the moisture farm, and
Right.
his dad's like, "Hey, I want you," or not his dad, his uncle. Oh my gosh, his uncle goes like, "Hey, you need to go do this." Like, I think he's like, "You need to go like clean up these droids or whatever," because they just like bought the new droids. He's like, and he
Mhm.
goes, and he's all like, "But I was gonna go into the Tashi station to pick up some power converters." Right? That's a line that's been like memed about a lot. Right?
Oh, has it?
Right, because it's like kind of funny. It's like this little like I'm being all whiny kind of line, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Mark Hamill posts a picture. I might actually have it. I can send it to you. Basically, he is standing in front of a like gas station, I think.
Uh huh.
That's like called. I might not have it. It's called like the Tashi or something is like the name of it. And he's like holding something. I don't know, power converter of some kind, I guess. And he goes, "I finally went to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters." Like Mark Hamill posts this picture of him, and it's just
Nice.
yeah, no, I don't have it. Well, that's sad.
Aw.
So I can't send it to you, but that's okay. Um, I thought I did have it saved. Whatever. I could look it up, but that's too much effort. You get the idea. If you looked up, Mark Hamill at the Tashi station, maybe you could find the picture. I don't know.
I'm looking for it. Oh
He
yeah, I found it.
Yeah, he posted it on Twitter. But
I can finally cross this off my to-do list.
That's what it was. That's what he said. I could finally cross this off my to-do list. And it's just that's a cool guy,
Yeah.
Posting, going along with memes about, memes that are realistically, a meme that's realistically over 40 years old now. I mean, that movie came out in the 77. So,
Wow.
I know. Isn't that crazy? But yeah, so that'd be a cool guy to have on to a podcast.
It really would, yeah.
I just love that. Finally cross this off to my to-do list. So yeah, so that's trying to think what else.
Is that all you had prepared?
For the most part, yeah. So anything interesting going on in your life?
Not especially.
Other than whatever. I don't know. For me,
I have class, but that's not interesting.
No, it's I mean, unless it's an interesting class,
Yeah.
What's an interesting class? I don't know. Philosophy. That can be interesting.
It could.
I actually remember when I took Philosophy 101 as a gen ed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually did find it interesting. Whenever you say I'm taking a philosophy class, people are oh, that's got to be boring. But it was actually interesting.
It's why people think what they think and why they act like what they act like that kind of stuff, isn't it?
That's more psychology.
Oh, right.
So philosophy is just trying to answer the big questions of
right.
What is real? What is reality? Why do we exist? What's the things it's kind of it's like that, and there are systems of you can actually learn critical thinking skills and stuff. If you can learn how to form a good argument through philosophy, so that's pretty cool.
Oh.
Things like that. Just using logic is what it is.
I don't know. I always end up thinking of it while you are using logic, you're coming up with arguments that, while might not be true, can't be refuted.
Yes. It's you have to come up with a sound argument.
Yeah.
Which is essentially that you have to come up with an argument. It's if this is true and this is true, then this has to be true. So
right.
I don't know. I can't think of it's for instance, your thesis is I don't know. Your thesis statement is that let's come with an example. Donald Trump is
getting political right off the bat. Eh?
Donald Trump is an idiot. I don't know. Let's just go with that. That's the thing you're trying to prove.
I mean, okay. I agree, but we can prove it.
And so the statements you could come up with are, okay, so Donald Trump was Donald Trump was impeached twice. Okay? People who were impeached twice are idiots. Okay? If both of those statements are true, if the statement people who were impeached twice are idiots is true, and the statement Donald Trump was impeached twice is also true, if those two statements are true, then the overall statement has to be true that Donald Trump is an idiot. Because, well, if he was impeached twice and everyone who was impeached twice is an idiot, then therefore he is an idiot.
Right.
So that's the essentials of coming up with a sound argument. So it could be anything. Like it could be like, I don't even know. Like
I took a computer science class that was all about this kind of stuff, but it was much more mathematical than this.
Yeah. Here's an example that I think this was the example. I could get some of the details of it wrong because it was a while since I took philosophy. This is the one that our philosophy professor used to give you an idea of what like kind of professor he was. He goes, so the thesis statement, the statement you're trying to prove is that Oprah wrote a porn novel. Okay?
All right.
Your arguments are here. First off, your two facts that you have to prove whether they're true or not. Your two facts are Oprah wrote Moby Dick.
Okay.
The other one is Moby Dick is a porn novel. Okay? Therefore, if both of those statements are true, therefore Oprah wrote a porn novel.
And your job
has to be true.
To prove those first two statements, right?
So essentially a sound, or is it a valid argument? Sound argument? There's different words. No, a valid argument is that. There we go. A valid argument. That's the term. A valid argument means that if both of those statements are true of the other, I don't remember all the technical words for this, but like both of those first statements are true, then the overall thesis that you're trying to prove has to be true if those two are true. That if that's the case, then you have created a valid argument. Now, the difference, a sound argument is an argument where both of those statements are true. I think. No. Is that how that works? I don't remember. Something like that. But yeah, it's basically that's how you form an argument. Now, obviously, if you're trying to form a successful argument, you want to try to make sure those two statements are true. But like, yeah. So it was kind of interesting to look at like, okay, so if you form it like in that way, it's like,
yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah. I do love how that's the example that he gave, though, was that you're trying to prove that Oprah wrote a porn novel.
Yeah, it's an odd one.
that's what he said too. Gotta love philosophy professors, you know. But yeah, it's a cool, interesting thing. So this is the official philosophy podcast now.
You're gonna just keep changing it, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean,
you won't be able to keep up.
Yeah, we've already gotten rid of WABAN. It's not that anymore. It's the official Avatar podcast, the official philosophy podcast.
It's all the official podcasts.
All the podcasts.
Every single one.
We're
all
just
in one.
We are all the podcasts. Have you seen Star Wars Episode 9?
I have not.
Okay, well, it's not a very good movie. But anyways, there's like a scene at the end where Emperor Palpatine is like, Palpatine comes back, right? In the movie? Or have you heard that? You didn't?
Although,
I mean, it doesn't matter. The movie's not very good anyways. It was spoiled in the trailers anyways. It's not like everybody knew going into the movie anyways. But anyways, there's a scene where like Palpatine's like really powerful and he's like, I am all of the Sith. So it's like that, but it's like, I am all of the podcasts.
All right.
So you saying we're all the podcasts into one and reminded me of that.
We're all of the podcasts.
We are all of the podcasts. Yeah, every podcast you've ever listened to is actually us behind it, controlling it. We just change our voices. Sometimes we make it sound like there's more than two people. Like we do different voices and stuff.
That's really difficult, but we do it.
Yeah, we find a way to do it. Like we're really just trying to trick the world into thinking there's many podcasts when it's really just us.
Yep.
Like I think it's kind of fun, honestly, to just kind of
And
be like,
so far, I think it's working. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, everybody seems to be fooled. So I even almost fooled myself, like.
I hate it when that happens. It's like, ooh, a new podcast. What's this one? Right.
And then I'm like,
we do those.
And then I start listening to it, and I'm like, this sounds familiar. Oh yeah, because I recorded it. Okay. Because I said that. Yeah. It's confusing. But stuff happens. So what can you do? Yeah. So I think this is probably about a good time to end the first episode. Probably. I feel like we're just, rambling at this point. I mean, we pretty much were the entire time. Like
we're sputtering out now, though.
This podcast has no direction. It's the Directionless podcast. That's the new name, the Directionless. Just Directionless. That's the name of the podcast.
Are you going to make a logo for all of these?
No. Yes. I'll make a separate.
Because I'm surely not doing it.
Yeah, that's just part of the job, make a new logo every week, 5 logos per week and then just edit them all together.
No one's going to be able to find this one because we keep changing the name.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, have you ever heard of the WABAN podcast? Yeah, let me search it. Oh, there's only 1 episode. Oh, they said they were going to keep making more episodes. Oh, guess that's it. And then they never find the other ones, It's like, have you ever watched Parks and Rec?
I have not. Okay.
Well, in the show, the one character, Andy, is in a band. He's played by Chris Pratt, by the way. That's pretty cool. He's in a band, and they early in the show, the band constantly changes its name to different things. And then at one point, the one girl in the show, she's like, you should probably stick with one name. That's probably why you can't gain an audience, because you keep changing your name. And he's like, oh yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then they finally stick with one, all right, yeah. So this is probably a good point to wrap it up. So this has been the WABAN podcast. Please let us know what you think. Comment on the YouTube. There's going to be a YouTube video of this. There's going to be, it's on Anchor. It should also end up being on other platforms once it gets approved, like Spotify and other places. I'll give more information on that next week, I guess. So yeah, it is the WABAN podcast. That's WABAN ! I think is going to be in the title as well. So check it out. And there should be one every Friday, I believe, is the plan. So thanks for listening. I am Nim.
And I'm the goodest boy.
Yep, the only talking dog in the entire world.
Indeed.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.